geographically diverse, as well as more inclusive. Indeed, Startup Communities is a must-listen for anybody who cares about the future of their community and their nation. While the progress we've seen is encouraging, we still have a long way to go. In 2018, more than 75% of U.S. venture capital went to just 3 states: California, New York, and Massachusetts. The other 47 states fought over the remaining 25%. That data is sobering, but for me, it's deja vu all over again. When I co-founded AOL in 1985, only 3% of people were online, and the conventional wisdom was that the Internet had limited appeal. It took a while to convince people there were benefits to getting online, but we finally broke through. I am fond of saying that AOL was an overnight success, 10 years in the making. Similarly, the startup revolution that is being unleashed all across the country and all across the world will take time. And it will take the talents of many, business executives, civic officials, and university leaders, and most of all, entrepreneurs, all coming together to strengthen and propel their startup communities. I have no doubt that Brad's book will serve as an invaluable blueprint for those on that important journey. Steve Case, Chairman and CEO, Revolution. Co-founder, America Online. February 2020. Introduction to the second edition. The first edition of Startup Communities was published in 2012. As a society, we were emerging from the global financial crisis, and entrepreneurship was starting to be discussed more broadly around the world. The transition from an industrial, hierarchical, top-down economy to a digital, networked, bottom-up one was underway. Economic pundits and politicians started to refer to this time as a jobless recovery, since traditional employers had stagnated and jobs were scarce and unreliable. As young, talented people began looking for work, 3 digital technologies converged: ubiquitous high-speed internet, smartphones, and cloud computing. Consequently, starting a digitally enabled company became much cheaper and easier to do, and it could be done anywhere. All that was needed was an internet connection, a laptop, and an imagination. Suddenly, people around the world wanted to learn how to apply the phenomenon of entrepreneurship. What felt different about this era when compared with the hysteria of the dot-com bubble in the late 1990s was a sense that people wanted to get things right. Instead of just making money, they wanted to understand what was going on and how to effectively build vibrant startup communities in cities around the world. Prior to the publication of the first edition of this book, the phrase startup community didn't exist. Geographic areas with a concentration of innovation and entrepreneurial activity were often labeled entrepreneurial ecosystems, innovation parks, or research clusters. The word startup was often hyphenated, much to my chagrin. As I was working on this book in 2010 and 2011, I was searching for another way to describe the thing that I felt that I was involved with in my hometown of Boulder, Colorado. One day, the phrase startup community jumped out at me. The publication of Startup Communities in 2012 provided a framework and practical guidance for startup community builders through the lens of my experience in Boulder. In the mid-1990s, Boulder didn't have much in the way of a startup community. While there was plenty of startup activity occurring in isolation, there wasn't much bringing people together in a coordinated way. Slowly, this began to change over time because of a small group of dedicated entrepreneurs who created an organic, bottom-up movement that built a startup community. A lot has happened in the last 8 years. The phrase startup community is now well-defined and distinct, but related to an entrepreneurial ecosystem. The Boulder Thesis, which I described in 2012, is a common and straightforward set of principles being followed by entrepreneurs, startup community builders, and participants in startup communities all over the world. Entrepreneurship is front and center as a new generation of entrepreneurs and companies drive innovation forward.